Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Monday, Moon Day, January 6th, and the energies in the day adds up and reduced to number 7, vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. So when I got to today's energy, a feeling came over me that felt so familiar, and it would remind me of when the moon is in Scorpio. And whenever the moon is in Scorpio, for me, that's a perfect opportunity for some shadow work, because things will come up in our lives around, things will come up reflecting why we don't feel safe, why we don't feel in control. And when you think of like how much we'll avoid growth and change because of the unknown, and we'll choose to stay stagnant often because we fear the unknown. When the moon is in Scorpio, to not feel safe or to not feel secure, it's because there's this fear of this unknown thing coming in and influencing your world in some way, and you don't know how or what's going to happen. You don't have any control. But the moon is not in Scorpio. The moon is in Aries, but the moon conjuncts Chiron. So with the moon conjuncting Chiron, I think of how, say, Aries energy deals with, the I am, the will, the ambition, the motivation, the image, how we're seen, the head. In Chiron, there is a wound. So there's this wound around the image, around the identity, around the ambition. Maybe the wound around the ambition is that I don't feel like I could do anything right. I don't feel like I ever win at anything or I ever complete anything. And then we have the moon there, and the moon in Aries, we're nurtured by our self, we're nurtured by our ambition, our will, and all of that. But with Chiron there, instead, there's focus on issues pertaining to maybe wounds from the mother, wounds from the home, wounds from the family, wounds that has everything to do with our will, our ambition, maybe our image, and our ability to nurture ourselves. There's something about how we nurture ourselves and maybe not learning how to properly nurture. What's coming to mind is like a child growing up in a household and they weren't properly taught to bathe themselves. And that's the image that's coming to mind. But instead of bathing oneself, I think of like the spiritual hygiene, not taught how to properly deal with their emotion or the spiritual side of things. And clearly, that child wasn't taught those things because the people who taught that child didn't know those things. So when it comes to today's energy, immediately I felt this feeling that felt like it reminded me of when the moon is in Scorpio, like I said. Because when the moon is in Scorpio, not always, but when the moon is in Scorpio and there is something about my life that is out of balance, I can't lie to myself. I feel it all so intense. So if there's issues around, say, your ambition, your ability to make things happen, issues around the mother or the family that are unresolved, I feel like today those issues could be triggered or they'll come up, but they come up in a way that's interesting where they'll come up and they'll come up meaning something, it might feel like something else is pissing you off, or something else is annoying you, but really that something else is really reflecting that issue from the home, with the family, with the mother. that issue with that about being a better nurturer. It's like, that's where it's all coming from and not where it appears to be coming from. An image that's coming into my mind. I imagine, say, a person that struggles from time to time with addiction. And the person sits down and they reflect on their issues with addiction and question, where is this coming from? And coming to the realization that addiction for me is a form of escaping, running away. So the person's like, okay, what am I running from? And then the person reflects and the person realizes, well, I came from a background where all everybody ever did was run. So everybody ran. Maybe the person was born in a household where the mother wanted to run away but couldn't. And the mother probably made it known and said it, or actions, or maybe the father. You know, they're going through mental things. They're going through things that they don't have tools or the support to deal with. So because of that, they don't show up for the children. So they want to run away. They're not present. So now the child, you know, is raised in this environment with people who don't want to be there, where they feel like a burden. So now within themselves, they feel like a burden to themselves when things get rough. So instead of sitting it through and dealing with the emotions when things get rough, that's when their addictions are triggered, because they've been taught to run. Everybody ran from them and now they run from themselves also. And it's like coming to that realization, a person could take their power back, because now whenever they're triggered, they know this is when I run. And running from me looks like ABC, XYZ. And instead of blaming, oh, well, I just like to get high, or I just like to eat sweets, eat a bunch of junk food, even though, you know, the health is being compromised. It's like, no, that's a reflection of my running. It's because I run. That's how I run. I might not pick up everything and run, but I run in that way. And I feel like when it comes to today's energy will highlight certain things, but if you're not present enough with yourself, you might not know the root of it and where it's coming from. So if I was to put that on me, say I had a bad trade, and from the bad trade, you know, it puts me in a bad mood, and then that bad mood leads to maybe me binging on something that normally I wouldn't want to eat because there are consequences to it. My body doesn't like it. And it's like, instead of falling into that, okay, boom, I had this bad trade. Now I'm thinking these negative thoughts, because maybe for me, every time I lose, it's not just losing, but the story around losing, what I make losing mean about me. And then that puts so much emotion on me. And before I know it, I just want to run from my reality. It's like, to me, when it comes to today's energy, paying attention to how you feel can help you to understand yourself so much better, and the reason why you do some of the things that you do, but then take your power back because you recognize what triggers you. And you're able to catch yourself in the middle of being triggered and make different decisions. Hey guys, I want to share with you 7 benefits of getting a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session. The first one is understanding your internal programming. The second one is becoming more clear about your purpose and passion. The third is setting goals for success. The fourth is awareness of strength and areas of improvement. And the fourth one was foundational for me, because whenever you're aware of your weaknesses, no one can use them against you. And when you're aware of your strengths, that makes you unstoppable. And that is why I say self-awareness is a superpower. The 5th benefit is removing obstacles. We first have to become aware of a thing in order to remove it in the first place. The 6th benefit is understanding relationship dynamics. We don't have to change the people in our lives. We have to become aware of ourselves and start from there, and everything changes. And the 7th benefit is upcoming transits, if that's something that you would like to look into because you're planning for something or you just want to be aware. So if you're interested in booking a numerology natal chart awareness awareness coaching session or learning more about it, the link to book or the link to send me an email for questions are both within the description box below. Today's energy has a very introspective vibe to it. There's big time introspection. There's this truth that needs to be exposed within you. There's this need to understand something on a deeper level. But the thing that you might be digging into and questioning today might be something that is more on the material side, opposed to like questioning the truth in you, where today's energy could find some of us like, instead of like, researching you and getting to know you better or understanding certain things within you better, not because of perfection, but because of peace, wanting to have peace within yourself, peace within your life, wanting to create an emotional state where you never need to run away from you. So if you never need to run away from you, then that's a healthy relationship with you. But instead of doing that work and looking into you, this energy can instead have you on the internet looking into, say, what the Kardashians are doing, what they've been doing, or all of a sudden you're curious about some celebrity or somebody. It could even be someone you know, and before you know, you're on their page for hours just scrolling through. Or you go from one person to another person, and trust me, it makes you feel even more awful about yourself, your situation, and where you are. Because when it comes to this energy, it's like, yeah, there's some truth that needs to be understood, maybe from something that happened yesterday. But instead of getting into it, we're researching, because today's energy adds up and reduces to number 7. And the number 7 is a researching energy, is a diving deep energy. And it's either we're researching the spiritual aspect of a thing or, other things in life that we could research and look into. But there's something introspective about this day. There's truth that we need, but it's easy to get sidetracked and go off looking into other things. Today is Monday, Moon Day. And Mondays are days that are normally sensitive. Mondays are days that are normally emotional. Mondays have the highest record for deaths of heart attacks that happen in the AM. For me, Monday, when the moon is out, you can't lie to yourself. It's like being on your menstrual cycle. You might think, oh, I'm just PMSing, and when I'm PMSing, I kick them out. No, you just don't want them there for real. And when you're on your cycle is when you're able to be brutally honest with yourself. And other times you're able to buffer what it is that you're feeling, tolerate, and make excuses. But when you're on your cycle, you break up with them and kick them out because deep down inside, like that's what you really want. And with Mondays, we get to see the truth in things, or we feel things so much more deeper than normal. So a lot of deep emotions we might be dealing with today, especially with Chiron conjuncting the moon. But in the sign of Aries, this could cause us to also like be a little bit edgy in some cases. With the day adding up to number 7, it brings a big introspective vibe to the day for the most part. But I think of like when a cat, maybe not growling at someone, but it's like maybe a growling type vibe. Like, you might find that someone's giving you attitude or you're giving attitude. With the moon in Aries, it's an impatient energy and could be a bit impulsive. So it's like, it's an impatient energy for the most part. So on the inside, it's like feeling like I don't have no patience and I don't have no time for this. I don't have no patience and I don't have no time for this is what I would get. So when it comes to a day like today, it's important to take time to yourself. Take time to yourself. It's important to take time to yourself. Self-care is extremely important when it comes to this energy. So whether it's sitting, and journaling what it is that you're feeling, or you're on your lunch break, you sit in your car, or on your lunch break, you sit off to the corner, or you go outside and you go to a space where you have privacy and there's no one around, and you might turn on your phone to record and you have it in front of you, anybody looking, it looks like you're FaceTiming someone, and you vent, you release, you unload, you say what it is that you need to say, you express yourself, you release what's happening within. Because if you're sharing with other people, more than likely you're not going to tell the whole truth because you don't want them to judge you. So at least if you're journaling or releasing yourself, like you'll be able to be brutally honest. So when it comes to today's energy brings me to the importance of cleansing the importance of unloading, the importance of releasing. And we had the moth energy came out, and the moth came out in the reversal position. And with the moth in the reversal position, in the upright position, the moth brings me to transforming the mind. But I feel like in today's energy, there's something that restricts us from properly transforming the mind. And, tomorrow we'll do a little bit more introspection, research, and looking into things. And then by Wednesday, this thing will finally be released if someone's dealing with, an ongoing thing. But I feel like the proper release doesn't happen today because instead of focusing within, we're focusing on other things that seems important, but really have nothing to do with us and probably brings us deeper into a sad space. So today, we have Mars retrogrades into Cancer. And with Mars retrograding into Cancer, Mars energy deals with our motivation, ambition. Mars is also the planet of war and aggression. With it in retrograde, I think of like my imagination. So with Mars, imagine Mars is the fighter, and in retrograde, Mars is reflecting on who is going to give the business to us. Like, it got to fight. Who is it going to fight? Or in another case, Mars deals with our ambition, our motivation. In retrograde, it's reflecting on what is it about this or that motivates me. Because wherever Mars is in your chart, it shows what fuels you. It shows the kind of gas that you put in your car. So with it retrograde into Cancer at 29 degrees, we're reflecting on our motivation when it comes to, say a masculine is reflecting on their motivation when it comes to the feminine, reflecting on your relationship with women. Or collectively, we're reflecting on our relationships with the women in our lives, reflecting on what motivates us about the relationships with our mother, what motivates us about our home, what motivates us about the way we nurture ourselves. We're reflecting on our motivation. And with it positively aspecting Neptune and Pisces, I actually like that. I actually like the positive aspect to Neptune and Pisces only because Saturn is in Pisces. So with Saturn and Pisces, there's boundaries, there's structure and whatnot. So as Mars in retrograde, reflecting on the motivation pertaining to Cancer type things, with Neptune and Pisces, we're also seeing beyond the veil. We're getting a deeper look into a thing. So I think of a person reflecting on their motivation when it comes to how they nurture themselves. Let's say that, because, we could all be better nurturers of ourselves to a certain extent. I feel like I've come to a point where I'm really good at nurturing myself right now, but I could be better because I learn new things about myself every day. And it's crazy how I'll reflect and thought I knew. And then when I look at what I know now, I realize that I didn't know anything before. So I know in the future, when I reflect on right now, I'll realize I didn't even know anything right now. But Mars energy in Cancer, we reflect on how our motivation or the energy that comes from how we nurture ourselves. And with the trine to Neptune and Pisces, it'll bring me to the story that I was sharing earlier about, say, the person who runs from themselves because growing up, everybody else ran from them. So everybody ran away, so they learned to run away. But them running away might look like running away through escapism. And with Mars energy in retrograde in Cancer, it brings me to breaking it down, a person coming to the realization that everybody ran and it taught me to run, and this is how I run. And just from realizing that and coming to the awareness of that, a person could start making changes that they could have never made before because they didn't even see the whole picture. They didn't even see the play. They didn't even see what's happening. This brings me to, and it's crazy how longer the videos are. And I didn't mean them to be like, since Thursday, they're so long and I'm thinking I'm going to be done, but more thoughts coming to mind and I'm just going to share. So yesterday was Christmas Day and I didn't have any responsibilities because I guess days before I completed all my assignments and everything I had to do. I didn't have to record or anything. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So instead, you know, I was doing some back testing. Back testing is me looking at the stock charts, looking at past data, patterns and things like that, you know, pattern recognition, and I'm practicing certain things. And I turn on the TV to watch something on Netflix while I back test. So whatever it is that I'm watching, it's not something that I'm going to take seriously because I'm multitasking. And normally I don't believe in multitasking with my attention, meaning if I'm watching something, I'm watching something. If someone calls, I don't have something going on in the background and I'm talking to them and I'm doing something else. I'll pause everything and just focus on the conversation. So I'm on Netflix and I'm scrolling through and I find Barbie World and I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't even know this was on here. I remember when it came out, but I didn't even know it was on Netflix. I never seen it. And for whatever reason, Netflix didn't assume that I wanted to see it based on my watch history. So I watch it and clearly I'm not taking it seriously why I'm choosing to watch it while I'm back testing. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was really good to me. It was good because of the storyline. It was good because of the hidden pieces within it, the hidden parts within it. Like what stands out in my mind right now is when they mentioned a portal, how to get from the Barbie world to the real world. And the portal is not like when you think of in movies where it's like, there's this door and you walk through the door and it's going to take you somewhere else. It's like the way they described the portal, I thought was clever, where the portal is a matter of taking certain means to travel in a certain order. And that opens something up to get you from one place to the next. So I thought that example of a portal was interesting because I think of how, you know, under the ocean, I remember I had a dream that I was driving a car and the car went over the cliff somewhere. I end up in like a little spacecraft with someone else I didn't know there's a person in the passenger side yet, but I'm in this circular spacecraft and it's just falling and falling and falling and falling and falling. And before I knew it, I'm in this place that I know to be Atlantis, even though prior to that, I didn't even know what Atlantis was. And there's another person in the ship with me and, you know, I guess we crash and they're calling for help, but I don't even know this person, but that's not where my focus is. But Atlantis in the dream is underwater. It looks just like Earth. You look above and there's a sky like normal, but I just know I'm underwater. So I guess when I think of the portal thing, I think of how, say, under our water is where we go through different dimensions to get to different worlds and worlds and worlds. But in order to get there, like in the Barbie movie, it's like first you got a rollerblade, then you need a sports car. It's like you need to take these things. You need to go about a certain process in order to get to this other world. So I thought that was pretty cool to me because it triggered that thought. But then what really stood out to me within it is how the lady, you would have to watch it, but what stood out about it is how we could easily forget our way, and it'll take someone else to come along to remind us what it is that we forgot. And just from reminding whatever it is that we forgot, that memory pretty much wakes us up from the slumber and gives us our power back. I think of how sometimes, you know, I'll hate the idea of a title and being put in a box when it comes to something. But sometimes things need to get a title in order to recognize it, become aware of it, and work your way around it. I think of like something being diagnosed and it's like, once you know what it is, now you can start working with it. Now you can start understanding it. I think of those of us who aren't aware of, like, you know, you weren't aware of gaslighting and certain manipulative tactics. And once you became aware of it, you were able to recognize it and take your power back. And with the whole Barbie world thing, to me, that's what made it so cool, because that's what I got from that part of it, with them being reminded of who they are, where it's like sometimes we deal with things within our world, and because we don't know what it is that we're dealing with, because there's no way to call it or no way to place it, there's no way to properly deal with it. And when it comes to today's energy, and the examples that I gave earlier about, you know, becoming aware of certain things within ourselves, because once we become aware of that thing within ourselves, we can address it. You know, self-awareness is a superpower. It is powerful when we allow ourselves to become aware. And with the moth energy coming out in the reversal position, it brings me to how much we can't transform and grow whenever we're not aware or know what it is that we're dealing with. It's like a person being in a narcissistic relationship and not knowing what a narcissist is. It's like this person will know that, okay, I'm confused here because everything looks good on paper. This person's attractive, they got a good job, they got good credit. When we're in public, they treat me well. But when we're not, they treat me like ish. And it's like they're confused and whatnot, and probably think that they're broken and something is wrong with them, because they don't even know that this is actually a thing that they're dealing with. And then when they become aware of what a narcissist is, even though I feel like we throw that word around and we throw that word around and everybody is a narcissist, when there's a level of extreme to it, where I guess everybody is on the spectrum of it, but there's extremes. But anyways, once the person becomes aware that that's actually a thing, then they don't fall for it as easy anymore. They don't easily get trapped in that kind of a connection anymore and go through the ups and the downs of the connection, where it's like 1 minute they're love bombing, then they're pulling their energy away. Now you're chasing them, and then you want to be out, and now they're running after you, giving you the love and the attention that you really want. And then you give in again. And then when you give in, they pull back, and it's like a constantly back and forth energy that's exhausting. When I look at the moth in the reversal position, it would bring me to someone being stuck in some mental cycle. And I feel like we're stuck in mental cycles because there's something about, there's something that we're not seeing. There's something that's being held from us. And when I think back to the Barbie movie and how the human lady was able to wake up the Barbs, by reminding them of their truth, I just thought that was so powerful. And it's like, I love that. Like, I don't know. I didn't think I would like it. I didn't take it serious. And clearly Netflix didn't think I would like it either, because I didn't even know it was on there. And I guess I have a weird relationship with Netflix anyways, because 1 minute I'll just delete my subscription, and then the next minute I'm like, okay, you're taking life too serious. Like, put that Netflix back on. So I don't know what happened, but I liked it. I liked it so much that I would watch it again. I meant to hit my niece up like, did you see it? And ask her what she thought about it. She's only 8. She's only 7. But with her, no, she's 8 now. But with her Scorpio rise, she's a Scorpio rising on Sun in Cancer. She's so mature and wise beyond her years. Like, she has an older sister that's 17, and she gives her older sister advice. Like, I'm such a fan. All right, so the tarot for the day is the 8 of Pentacles in the reversal position. The 8 of Pentacles in a reversal position, similar to the moth energy, brings me to something about a system that needs to be addressed. Something about a system that needs to be addressed, a system that needs to be rectified. And, that's what I've been talking about throughout this message. The system of, say, for example, the system of the toxic relationship and the back and forth. And when someone wakes a person up to what that actually is, they no longer fall for it. I think of, say, with me, when it comes to this channel and the role that the lady played with the Barbies, like, I feel like that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. Like, I want to be the person that reminds a person to question things so much to where if they ever fall asleep just from asking questions, they wake themselves up. Because, I fall asleep all the time, and the questions help me to wake back up. So when it comes to today's energy, something needs to be addressed about the systems or the cycles that's operating within your life, and, address something about the system and the cycle in order to make the proper transformation that's necessary. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a purple heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.